She used to think she was just an ordinary student, until one day her hair became the reason she was sent home from school. This story is true, and it led to a law being changed in the state of Georgia. Let me tell you a story. No code, not a fairy tale, but a real story that began in an ordinary classroom in the heart of America. Ayana Brooks was just 11 when it happened. A straight-A student from Atlanta, Georgia, quiet, well-behaved, raised by immigrant parents from Nigeria. Her mother was a night shift nurse. Her father drove long-haul trucks. Ayana had learned from a young age to tie her shoelaces, pack her lunch, and smile politely when teachers mispronounced her name. On that Monday morning, she walked into class wearing her hair in traditional Yoruba twists, small, neat coils oiled carefully by her mother the night before. She felt proud. Her hair was her heritage, a connection to a place her mother called home. By the second period, a whisper passed from one teacher to another. Then she was called to the front. The principal's office was cold, with an American flag in one corner and a photo of the president hanging above the bookshelf. A staff member looked at her flatly and said, "Ayana, your hairstyle doesn't meet the school's grooming policy. It's distracting. You'll need to go home and change it." Ayana blinked, Paulus. "But it's just my hair." Ayana, hair. Professionalism is important. We need all students to maintain a clean, appropriate appearance. That was all. She was suspended for 3 days. That day, Ayana didn't cry, but something inside her cracked. At 11, she had no words for what she felt, but the feeling stayed. Being made to feel wrong simply for being who you are. When she returned to school, her hair was straightened, scorched into submission with a chemical relaxer that burned her scalp and smelled like smoke. Her mother had helped her do it in silence. Her father only said, "Don't fight it, baby. Just do what they ask. Focus on your studies." In class, no one mentioned her absence. No one asked where she had gone. That was worse than the suspension, the invisibility. One student whispered, "My mom says hair like that's not clean, Ayana." Ayana, clean. Another laughed. "At least now she looks like us." When Ayana logged into the school's computer lab, someone had hacked her account and changed her display name to Jungle Girl. She told a teacher. The response? "It's probably just a joke. Don't be too sensitive." Ayana learned to stay quiet. She stopped bringing Nigerian food for lunch. She stopped wearing colorful headbands. She began speaking with a more American accent. She wrote in her diary, "I want to disappear, but if I do, who will remember me?" "Ayana, they said my hair was dirty. Does that mean I am dirty too? I try so hard to be right. Why do I still feel wrong?" And slowly, Ayana stopped seeing herself as a child in a classroom. Ayana, clean. She saw herself as a problem that needed fixing. At 17, Ayana came across a viral post. A black student suspended for wearing dreadlocks to graduation. She froze. Over to do American comments below the article shocked her. "My daughter got detention for wearing her hijab." Over to do my son was sent home for speaking Spanish during recess. Over to do American comment, "I was told to cut my locks or skip prom." For the first time, Ayana saw what she had never dared imagine. Over to do she was not alone. That night, she opened her laptop and poured her story into words. She titled it, "I don't need to be professional. I just want to be me." She posted it on her blog, not expecting much. By morning, it had over 5,000 shares. Messages poured in. "Thank you, this gave me the courage to speak up." Over to this Americanness made me cry. "My daughter is only 8, but she's already hiding her curls." Over to "I'm a white woman, 50 years old. I wish I'd said something back then." Ayana realized something powerful. Telling the truth is an act of resistance. Over to do American comment, "Every untold story is a missed opportunity for change." She kept writing, kept remembering. Over to, and with each story, she built her voice like armor. Ayana entered college with a scholarship to study law. But the microaggressions didn't stop. Over to the earth, they just changed tone. "Your English is so good." Over to a, "Wow, you're studying law, that's rare for your background." Over to do Americ's articulate. She took notes. Over to do, she gathered stories. Over to, she joined the Black Student Alliance, and for the first time, she shared her own story out loud. The room fell silent. Then a girl wept and said, "I thought I was just weak. But now I know, silence is the real mistake." That night, Ayana proposed a campaign. #MyHairIsNotADistraction. They organized panels, wrote petitions, and recorded testimonials. She analyzed school grooming policies nationwide, many of which were vague, biased, or historically discriminatory. A professor once asked her, "Aren't you politicizing something too personal?" She replied, "No, I'm just asking, why does the system feel threatened by a child's hair?" Her blog caught national attention. She was invited to speak at education summits, youth policy forums, and national human rights events. Soon, she began working with lawyers to draft policy reforms for public schools. And somewhere deep inside, the little girl who once sat alone in that principal's office began to stand tall through every word, every meeting, every law. 3 years later, Ayana submitted her proposed bill to the Georgia State Education Committee, a reform aimed at protecting natural hairstyles, cultural attire, and expressions of identity in public schools. 1 month later, she received an invitation to testify. At the hearing, Ayana wore a white blouse once owned by her mother. No fancy suit, no ironed-down hair. She let her curls flow, proud and unapologetic. The hall was filled with officials. Most didn't expect much from the young woman with a soft voice and sharp words. But when she spoke, the room held its breath. "I was 11 when I was told my natural hair wasn't welcome in school. I remember feeling dirty, less than. I am not an exception. I am one of thousands. And if a rule makes a child feel unworthy, then that rule must go." After her testimony, one conservative board member, previously skeptical, stood up and said, "Today I realize I was wrong. This isn't about hair. This is about dignity." The Crown Act, Georgia version, passed overwhelmingly. It banned hair discrimination in all public K-12 schools. It became a symbol of what happens when voices that were silenced are finally heard. Ayana didn't celebrate with fanfare. She went home, sat beside her mother, and whispered, "Your daughter finally made it back into that classroom." Ayana continued her journey, earning a master's in public policy, working as a civil rights attorney, and helping draft laws that protect students across America. But her biggest victory wasn't in titles or headlines. It was knowing that somewhere, a young black girl could now walk into school with curls, kinks, braids, or locks, and not be told, "You need to change to be accepted." Because now, the law said, she was never the problem. Some stories don't end, they echo. Ayana's voice may have started in a silent classroom, but it reached courtrooms, law books, and hearts across the nation. If this story touched something in you, a memory, a hope, or even a quiet question, then maybe, just maybe, it's your turn to keep the echo going. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more true, human stories about resilience, justice, and the courage to rise. Turn on the notification bell so you won't miss a single voice that matters. Because here, we don't just tell stories. We carry them forward. Together.